Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to change your front brake pads and also your front brake calipers on a 2005 Toyota Corolla. Now, usually when I change brake pads, I'll push this caliper piston back in by prying in here with a screwdriver or something like that. This one is actually stuck pretty good, and it's caused these brake pads to wear down prematurely. So we are going to go ahead and replace that with this new caliper right here. The first thing I like to do is pull off this brake hose right here, which is a 14mm bolt, and transfer it over to the new caliper where this plug is here. So I'm going to pull that plug out. It's just a lot easier to loosen that while it's still on the vehicle. I also have got these two washers at the ready because this is of course going to start dripping when I take it off. But there's two washers. One goes on either side of this little brake line fitting. This is essentially a bolt, and then you've got one washer there and one there on either side of it. So I'm just going to take a 14mm wrench and loosen that up, and you can see that starts to drip right away. And this has got a different type of washer or spacer on it. You can see this is the old style, which was like two washers that were connected with a little loop. But we're going to replace those. So I'm going to pull that out and put one around that base of that bolt like that, and the other one right there. And then I'm just going to line this up and transfer this over to the new caliper so we don't just sit here and drip brake fluid while I'm changing that out. And we'll just get that nice and snug for right now. And then we'll set this one aside. That's the new caliper with the brake line attached. And you can just set it down over there. As long as it doesn't fall and jerk on that brake line, you're okay. Now we can remove these two caliper bolts here. The nice thing about this caliper kit is it comes with new caliper bolts as well, but if your kit doesn't, just hang on to those. And then we can take off the old caliper. Now keep in mind, most calipers that you purchase, there will be a core charge for this, so you're going to want to hang on to that old one and return it in the original box. And we can pull out our old brake pads here. And these little retainer clips, we're going to replace those as well. I don't replace those on every video because sometimes they don't fit well, but on this one it comes with new ones. We'll go ahead and swap those out. And the slide pins as well. Just yank those out. The new kit comes with new ones. If you didn't have new ones, you could just clean these up and re-grease them. But our new kit comes with new slide pins and new boots. It's a good idea to maybe hit this caliper bracket with a little bit of brake clean, and might as well hit the rotor while you have it out as well. Sometimes these caliper support brackets will get rust and junk in there, and those new retention clip things won't seat very well. And we can just grab those new ones and just line them up and snap them into place. Same with the top one. The key is that they're seated well in there so that the pads will still fit in there and move freely as they're supposed to. Now the new pads don't have the squealer installed, but it does come in the kit here in with the new caliper. And you'll notice here there's a little recess on the brake pad, and that's where this just snaps in. Just like that. Just kind of press that in, and I've got that set up to go on the inboard pad. If you're wondering why my wheel is turning, it's because I've got my daughter putting the putting the tire back on the other side, and she's just turning that and tightening that. But now I can go ahead and put some brake grease on the back of this pad. Just a few little dabs like that, and then a nice thin layer. So spread that thin, and then a generous amount here on the little tabs, or these little ears, I guess we could call them. And just make sure you don't get any of that brake grease on the pad surface. There we go. Same thing with the outboard pad. A couple dabs of that same grease. Just a thin layer is all that it requires. And then on each of the ends here. And we can press that into place here as well. Now this kit also came with brand new slide pins and the boots as well. So we'll make sure that we get some grease on there. If your kit does not come with them, you can just clean them up and reinstall them, but we'll do a nice big glob of grease on these. And just kind of smear that around like so. And then when you put the boot on, this is the end here that goes into the caliper bracket. So just press that all the way on, and if you just press it hard enough, it'll catch on that upper shoulder, and then we can pull that in over here. And the same thing with the other caliper slide pin. Slide the bushing, or slide the rubber bushing all the way on, and pull that on as well. Now these slide pins don't just pull in real easy, so you kind of just got to use a screwdriver, the edge of something, or your fingers, and kind of pull on those until they go in and seat just like that. Sometimes you got to spin them a little bit. Same thing with the bottom one. Just pull that rubber boot. Try not to damage it with the screwdriver. This may not be the best tool for this, but seems like once you get it started, it's a little bit easier. There we go. Now, I don't know if you can see here, but there's also these flat spots on these caliper slide pins, and that is because on the caliper itself, you see this little recess. It's almost like this little part right here. That will catch the edge of that slide pin, the top and bottom. But we can go ahead and get that put into place just like that, and then we can get our bolts started. This kit also came with new bolts. And tighten those down. If I get a chance to look that torque spec up, I'll put it in the description, or maybe somewhere right around here. Same with the bottom one. And now that we have the caliper back on, we can also make sure that that brake line is nice and tight. Now we need to bleed the brakes, and there's lots of different ways to do that. I'm going to show you how you can do it if you don't have someone to help you pump the brake pedal. I actually made a DIY pressure bleeder, and I've got another video. I'll go ahead and put a link in the end of this video to how I made this pressure bleeder. But it's pretty simple, And some of you made some comments about seeing that in action, but all you need to do is take off the master cylinder cap, just set that aside, and then I've actually got two different sizes here of these rubber caps, and then just put that on top of the reservoir here if you can. Okay, this is kind of a two-handed deal. Okay, so just press that cap down over the reservoir, and then you're going to want to tighten these hose clamps here just to make sure that that doesn't pop off when we pressurize it. This didn't cost much at all to make, but it's pretty handy. It's been very helpful. Now we just need to pump this up, make sure that that's tight, which it is. And you can see the gauge right there. You really don't need much. Maybe about 10 psi or so. And there's 10. And then over here I've got this handle rigged up. All we need to do is press that handle, and you'll see that fluid, and then I can just lock that handle open. And see, it's got you can see how that's just kind of domed now, so there's pressure in here, and it's going to be feeding new fluid along with the pressure as I open up that bleeder valve down below. Okay, so now down here, just to catch the old fluid, I've got this jar with a hole in the lid and a little length of this same tubing that I used on that pressure bleeder, and then just put that on the valve, on your bleeder valve, and then just crack it open. And it's probably better to use the box end on this. I like to just loosen it enough to get it started, and then we can just give it another turn here. And right now we've got a lot of air, and then there comes the fluid. Fluid with a few bubbles. And then I'm going to close that completely. Let that fluid drip down. Okay, I just double checked the PSI there, and we're still right about 10. So I'm going to just crack this one more time, and you can see that we're just getting nothing but fluid there, and it's pretty clean as well. So alright, we can close that valve, let that fluid drip back down, and then I'm going to just double check, make sure that that valve is nice and tight. And I just wanted to give one more quick spray here, trying not to get too much of this on the pad material, but a little bit of the rotor got some brake fluid on it. See if we can't clean that off a little bit. And you're done. Just remember to step on the brake pedal once or twice to push the caliper piston back out and adjust the pads up against the rotor where they need to be. Remember to torque everything per spec, and don't forget to top off the master cylinder when you're done as well. Hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I will put a link in the description on how to make that pressure bleeder, along with a few other links to some parts and products as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.